welcome to the SaaS Revolution Show. Karel Callens, CEO and co-founder at Cumul.io. Welcome, Karel.
Hi, Alex. Nice to meet you.
Good to have you on the podcast. Where are you zooming in from today?
I'm calling in from Leuven in Belgium.
Okay, and this is the, but I only know this because it was on your LinkedIn, the Flemish part of Belgium, right?
Yeah, it's in the Flemish part of Belgium, about 20 kilometers from Brussels. A big university city in Belgium.
Maybe for those that don't know what the Flemish part of Belgium means, could we explain? We've got a lot of like US folk, or like listeners from all over the world, so maybe they're not so familiar with that term.
Yeah, so Belgium is a small company, but we do have the luck of having multiple languages within the company. Country. So you have the Flemish speaking part, you have the German speaking part, and the French speaking part, and then and we often just speak English amongst ourselves. So in essence, four languages, I think it's something to be proud of, to be honest.
Yeah, definitely.
People often think that we argue a lot, but while that might be true on a political level, I think just within the country, it isn't like that. We support the same soccer team. It's just being proud of multiple languages in our country.
And the soccer team made it to the #1 ranking in the world, but didn't make it to the final of the Euros.
Yeah,
like England. Sorry to bring that up. Yeah. So we'll move on. Well, let's move away from football then, as it's not about that. But we're today, looking to learn a little bit more about the kind of the growth story of Cumul.io over the last sort of couple of years. But before we go into that, let's learn a little bit about yourself. Who is Karel Callens?
Yeah, so I'm founder and CEO at Cumul.io. Proud father of 3 kids, amateur futsal and soccer player, which made it even worse that we didn't go through with the Belgians in the European Championship. I would consider myself as a technical founder, although I don't necessarily have a computer science background. I'm an economical engineer, but I think since I was 11, I started coding on my own, just enjoying building products. And then graduated economical engineering, did a master's on innovation management, started in consulting. Was a manager in a consulting firm on purely analytics and data visualization. I think about 15 years experience in that. And then decided with my co-founder Haroon, who was at that moment also we were colleagues, that we needed to create Cumul.io to disrupt a bit the market. We were already creating solutions for bigger companies, but there wasn't a good solution for medium-sized companies. And at the same time, we saw a lot of need for data-driven decision-making everywhere. The whole world is moving forward to using more data, but at the same time getting more insights and information from that data. So there was a lot to do, and yeah, we preferred to solve it with the product and not with services.
How long ago did you form the company?
Officially, we created the company in end of 2015, so I think October 2015. But it took us a little over a year to create our MVP, and then we started commercializing. I think end of 2016, and mid 2017 we had our embedded analytics software. So it took us quite some time, but we were entering an existing market, so that meant a lot of garage work and coding in the dark.
Good stuff. And so you mentioned, and we were chatting before we started recording, that this MVP, which you worked on for sort of year and a half before, is now like a different product from what Cumul.io sort of has, or it was definitely a different sort of version, right?
I think yes and no. We're still able to spin it up, so we have the whole history of of our software. So sometimes it's still fun to go back. I think it improved a lot, of course. Some things that were complex in the beginning now are very, very easy. But from the start, I think it was clear what we wanted to do and where we were heading for. So we're operating in the field of embedded analytics. So our clients are using us as a building block to add dashboards to their platform. I think in the beginning, we moved towards first releasing our dashboard editor, which was a drag and drop editor, very easy to use. But it didn't have the embedded site in there yet. But of course, we needed to make money. We wanted to make money by creating a product and not by services. So we needed to put out our MVP as soon as possible. And then from there, we just added features until we felt we were ready to release our embedded analytics software, and has been growing pretty well these last years. So.
Yeah, well, definitely, and that'll be, I guess, the focus of the conversation, because I mean, as we spoke again before this, that over the last sort of couple of years, the company has grown to over 200 SaaS companies using the product, which is really kind of great growth. And what I kind of want to learn about, and for the listeners' kind of sake, is then how have you achieved that, right? And what are the 3 to 4 kind of things that has happened during this time, that the strategies that you've implemented to achieve this kind of growth, and really kind of take these I think one by one and go into those. So yes, we when we spoke, you mentioned about this one of the things that has been kind of, I guess, kind of fundamental to the growth is the sales joint execution program. So why don't you explain what this is for those listening?
Yeah, so so you have to know we're operating in a market that already existed, where you have some big names like Microsoft, Google, IBM, etc. Nobody ever got fired bringing over one of these software in there. So even though we have a solution that is far better in terms of embedded analytics than these, you still have to convince that person to invest money and working with you. And so what we always try to do is take away some of the complexity, but also the thresholds that there would be for them to start with you. And so the joint execution program is one of the, I think, one of the interesting things that we did, because in essence, we're saying to our customers, with our building block, you can give your end customers, your own users, insights in their data, dashboards in there. So we'll help you get that feature in production. And we're doing that in a period from 2 weeks to maximum 2 months, where we have conversations with them explaining what we saw in other companies happening, how you should structure your dashboards, your data, etc. And then when it's in production and they want to move forward, they can deduct the whole costs that they had from that joint execution program moving on. So in essence, it takes away the barrier for them to invest money in a proof of concept, because they know if it doesn't work, then yeah, that's too bad for us, because then we can't move forward. But if it does work, then they can fully deduct the cost of that proof of concept. And so it makes that we are looking together with our customers at the success of them, because we can only be successful if they are successful.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I mean, it sounds like, again, well, sort of like two things that you're really kind of helping the customer make the decision to kind of partner with you. One, fantastic onboarding, right? You're really investing in getting them like up and running and getting the product sort of used, and saying we're not just going to leave it with you to kind of like figure out. And then you're kind of giving them this guarantee as well, right? That look, if it doesn't work, then you don't have to pay for that. You only have to pay for the licensing. So
yeah, and also showing them that there isn't a gap between what we say we can do and what we can do with the software. So
so I can see how that would work well, in both sort of instances. And then I mean, well, actually, seeing as you mentioned the last thing about the obsession around your customers being successful, right? So something that you said about the company, that you look to empower the success of others, and this goes throughout the whole team and the whole company culture. So why don't you tell us a little bit more about that and how that's going to help propel growth?
Yeah, so when you start a SaaS company, and of course the aim is big, we want to be the most important player in field of embedded analytics, but you still have to take into account that people buy from people, and people trust people. And that means that getting testimonials or people being proud or talking in an advocate kind of way about your software is the most important thing. It's not only fun as a product builder because you see people enjoying your product, but at the same time you see it's successful and they will talk about it, and that helps moving forward and growing quicker and building on brand awareness. Because we're positioning ourselves as a building block, the only way of succeeding in that is making sure that our customers are successful. What we are doing is something that isn't done on the domain of dashboards per se, but has been done in other domains. Today, nobody develops their own payment solution. They use Stripe as a building block. Same for communication. They use Intercom as a building block. And in essence, you could say for dashboards, it's the same thing, because dashboards today are a commodity. People are expecting it to be in software. They're expecting to get insights if they put data into your platform. But at the same time, it's something very hard to create. And so ideally, you use a building block for that. And that's why we created Cumul.io to create something that abstracts away the complexity and makes things easy to help your customers. But everybody in the team, in the company, always keeps in mind that our customers have to be successful, not only on product level, because if they're not successful on product level, then it hurts your company, not only on sales, but also on development power, R&D, etc., because you have to shift. Whenever we build a feature, we always think of what could that mean for our customers today, but also in 2 years and 3 years. We have a fairly detailed plan on where we want to be, for example, already in 2 years, always with the success of our customers in mind. But same goes on marketing level, where we're creating content that we know that would help them be successful even faster by using us and with that content. Same in sales, same in the sales process, like I mentioned with the joint execution program. And so almost everybody within the company, I would say, is client facing, just to make sure that everybody working for us understands how our customers are getting value out of using us.
Yeah, no, and that's fantastic. And I think certainly more companies should do that and have everybody, or a lot of people, client facing and speaking to the customers more. I mean, I read that saying that there's 2 ways really to kind of get a pulse, a real kind of pulse on the companies. Is one, speak to your team and your employees, right? The other is speak to your customers. Yeah. And often many companies don't do both enough, right? We can be guilty of that, right? So the more we can speak to the customers, the better we understand, like how we can help them, what the value is that we're bringing them. So great to see that that's been beneficial for you guys.
Yeah, and I think it's even more powerful if you don't have to ask your customers to talk about you, but they do it from by themselves. So that's even better. So that's in essence what we're aiming for. Of course, it's never finished, right?
No, definitely. And do you, in terms of again, it's a difficult one, but like around word of mouth and like measuring that is do you look at like things like NPS to kind of measure that?
Every 3 months we do an NPS, and then we're also starting up building out an ambassadorship program, but also looking at community building, where we have clients doing some fantastic things, and they could inspire other clients, and they should be proud of what they're building. So trying to make that possible as well. But an NPS, as we're just solely focused on building a great product, I think it's essential.
Yeah, no, definitely. And we've got a program with the SaaStock founder membership where early stage SaaS founders or SaaS founders that are looking to kind of grow to 10 million in revenue, we bring them together, sort of for peer groups, for workshops, for mentorship and online communities. So I'm speaking to a lot of the founders then on a regular basis, and marketing seems to be like the kind of the biggest problem, for many, right? In terms of getting more customers, lead gen, demand gen, positioning, and so on and so forth. But what you've done is obviously sort of recognize that marketing is pretty important very early on, and the second hire in the business was a full-time marketer. So you talked about starting marketing early, being one of the key things that really kind of helped in the growth. So just dive into that. Like, tell us, like, why was the second hire a marketer? And what are some of the things that you've done to really kind of help with this growth?
Yeah, it always depends on who your target customers are, right? So our ICP is SaaS companies. SaaS companies are using us as a building block. There's a lot of SaaS companies. If you would just have an ICP of, let's say, 10 enterprise companies, it doesn't make that much sense to early invest in marketing. For us, it does, because there's more than 200,000 SaaS companies worldwide. From the beginning, we knew that marketing was going to be important, because we're operating from Belgium. Okay, we now have offices in New York as well, but we had to be global from the beginning, and from the beginning aim big, and be very outspoken on what we do, but also on what we make possible. And marketing is not a technical job per se, in the sense that because it was the second hire, we needed to explain her what we were going to do, because she never worked in the field of analytics. And just by explaining it, by having conversations about it, we were shaping already the way how we would present, for example, our embedded analytics software. And it's always doing testing, adapting a bit, asking your customers how they would position yourself, what they believe we are achieving with Joomla.io, what they believe is important. And it's something that takes time to be successful. There's a lot of things that we're doing very successfully, but at the same time, there's a lot of things that we're still testing, and some of the tests don't work. And then you just try something else, and if it works, you double down on it, and that's how you grow. I wouldn't say there's magic behind it, but if you start early, you learn early, and it just helps growing faster if you do it earlier. Some people just wait until they have the perfect product, and then expect, okay, we'll now hire a marketeer, and in 3 months we'll be successful. Then that's way too late. You need to start early. Even I would say it could make sense even if you're not commercializing yet, and it's more about how to position, how to attract early customers, early users, early beta testers. I think in SaaS, and especially if you look at the large group, marketing is just so important, and you need to learn, because it's not something that works for us might not work for another company, even if it's a SaaS company. So it's looking what works for your ICPs, and what doesn't, where they're active, what they're reading, at what events you should be, and then just pitch, and get better at pitching why they should use you, and what's the value to get out of your software.
Obviously, something we're doing at the moment is content marketing. How have you approached sort of content marketing? Like, when did you start that? As a business, obviously, this is something that it compounds. The more sort of content that you do. But yeah, interested in your content marketing approach.
Yeah. So We always did it internally. So we didn't work with agencies to do that for us, because we're very focused on our product. We wanted to make sure that what we're putting out is spot on with what we want to, what we see as a vision for the company, but also for the market. And we always try to look at content that helps our customers. And so we're offering a solution that works across multiple domains. But of course, when you talk about to your customer, let's say talking to a customer in logistics, then they're not interested in seeing how it works for a sales domain or marketing domain. No, they want to get insights on how can I monetize, for example, dashboards on logistics. What are some key performance metrics I can supply to my customers? And so what we did is we looked at the current customers we had and the ones that wanted to do a testimonial around it. We talked to them and get to know what is important for their area of domain, and we started creating content that was specific to that domain, so that we helped our customers by being more specific, less generalistic. We never put out something like the 5 best things or 10 best things, which is just clickbait, but never helps your customer. There, we always try to create dashboards that were either inspiring or content that helped them set up their architecture, and giving ideas on how they can open up analytics to their end customers. I think it's very important to understand who your ideal customer profile is, but then also if there's multiple, look at them. Where are they active? What do they need to be successful in their job? How can they make their company successful? And then and make content as valuable for them. It's better to have less content but very quality content than to have something where people might click on a lot, and in terms of on clicks would be successful, but in terms of conversion would never have any meaningful impact.
What about sort of product hunt launch? So you did a product hunt launch. Obviously, a lot of SaaS companies are on product hunt, and a lot of SaaS companies do product hunt launches. So, but I'm curious to. So it's probably less about why did you do it, because many companies do it, but like what was the kind of results? Like how did you go about it? Like, you know, what was the kind of result of that? And is it a short-term kind of result, or do you still, you know, is that something that which brings results, you know, over a long term?
I think as a company, and especially SaaS companies, should do it, not only for lead generation on sales and marketing level, but also because it helps your whole company know how to pitch Kumalio, how to what we believe should be out there externally, and so working together as a team on an external launch. I think that's crucial, and that's something that you see working for a longer period. Of course, if you look at sales and marketing, then it's when you launch on product hunts, you need to make sure that you're in the top 5, etc. But I would say it helps in terms of there's a short period where you see a peak and lots of new trials are starting, but then it helps also in terms of brand awareness and you have some longer term effects. But the thing is, if you do it, try to do it very well, try to prepare yourself, aim for being in the top 5 always, and take your time to prepare it with the whole team, because there's also a lot of value in that.
Can I assume that you made it into the top 5?
Yeah, we made it into the top 5.
and can you give us one tip to make it into the top 5?
There are several tips you can take. There's a lot of blog posts on companies that done it successfully. There's another Belgian company called Salesflare, which we discussed with, and that helped us in there as well. And so I think I cannot take credit for some things they told us to do it, but there's a good blog post from Salesforce on that, and it's really about good preparation, being ready with your team, making sure you have a good person posting you, already preparing on some answers. You got there, making sure the visuals are well, people are enticed into looking further in there, having the banner on your landing page, etc. A lot, again, nothing rocket science, but good preparation is half of the work.
Awesome, good stuff. And as we come to the end of the podcast, what's next for Cumul.io? Like, so as you're over 200 companies now, how are we going to get to 400, 500, and what sort of time frame are you looking at?
I think it's going pretty well. So I'm very looking forward to the next coming months and year. We started out from Belgium, but today we're active in 31 countries, and only about 30% is coming from Belgium. It's already more than 25% coming from the US. For us, it's a big growing market, so we're growing our team there as well, and looking forward to double and triple the coming year. In the US, there's lots of interesting things that we're currently working on product. I can't say too much about it, but it's enabling end customers of our clients even more into making sure they get the right information at the right moment in time within their context. Because even though the whole world is evolving more to data-driven decision making, we need to make sure that people are not confronted with information overload. And you can avoid that by becoming more context specific and making sure that you're very close to the insights your users are looking for. And so we're enabling a lot of things there, but probably by end of this quarter and beginning of next quarter, we'll have a new big launch at the latest end of this year, probably also via Product Hunt. So you'll see that coming.
Cool, very good stuff. Well, look, Karel, very great to have you as a guest on the SaaS Revolution Show for the first time. Thanks for sharing this sort of the growth stories. It seems like you've had some great growth, and wishing you further great growth for the future. But appreciate sharing with the SaaStock audience.
Yeah, it was really nice having this talk. So thanks for that.
No problem. Great stuff. Thank you very much.